So I ran into my old pal Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and he says to me, "Riders of Rohan, what news from the Mark?" To which I reply, "Buddy, I don't know what you're talking about, but I can tell you the tech news." YouTube has finally addressed concerns over view counts raised by a good number of creators in recent weeks, including Red Letter Media, Second Wind, and even awkward teenager with a full beard Linus Tech Tip Sebastian. YouTube's response, as delivered in a support article published this morning, essentially boils down to skill issue. It's all in your head. Get good, pleb. The article first addresses the idea that the reason view counts suddenly dropped in mid-August was due to YouTube rolling out age verification. This is a hypothesis that Red Letter Media talked about in their video, but they referred to accounts that had been age restricted as having restricted mode automatically turned on, which I guess led YouTube to spend this whole section clarifying that restricted mode can only be manually turned on. It's a separate thing that has absolutely nothing to do with what they call age-restricted content. Restricted mode restricts the viewing of videos based on whether they're appropriate for kids, but that doesn't mean that the videos blocked by restricted mode are classified as age-restricted content. Doesn't make sense? Yeah. This part of the response was super helpful in not addressing the question of whether the age verification rollout, which happened on August 13th, has anything to do with the massive views drop reported by creators around the same time. So thanks for that, YouTube. The other major hypothesis going around is that YouTube has stopped counting views from devices using an ad blocker, or they've changed the way they count views in some way. But YouTube says, "You fool, we've done no such thing. There is no systemic issue that is impacting creators." Okay, but there's just one problem. As pointed out by Linus and one of LMG's best boys, Dan Besser, on the WAN show, while views have dropped, the ratio of likes to dislikes has shot up, and the revenue per video is about the same despite lower views, which would be consistent with ad-blocked views not counting anymore, as YouTube creators only get revenue if the viewer sees an ad. That's just how it works. Then there's this little detail spotted by Josh Strife Hayes. It's views from computer users specifically that have dropped. You know, the device on which it's easiest to install an ad blocker. And you know what? You may have noticed our views have also been down since mid-August. So let's take a look at our views from mobile. Okay, it looks mostly fine. TV, yeah, seems normal. Computer, whoa! Okay, but YouTube's probably right. We're just a victim of on-platform competition. You know, it's just hard for me to grasp that because we're the only tech news channel on YouTube. I checked. Eden, a Nintendo Switch emulator, has launched on the Google Play Store. It's not the first Switch emulator on the Play Store. The infamous Yuzu emulator was also available on the platform before being thoroughly destroyed by Nintendo's legal team. Eden is a fork of Yuzu, apparently built by a team of masochistic developers. Its brazen release onto the Play Store has fans excited, but also probably wincing a little bit as they wait for a legal orbital strike from the Mushroom Kingdom. According to Eden's Play Store page, the emulator focuses on high performance without compromising aesthetics, compatibility, or stability. And that concentration on performance is one of the more attractive points about Switch emulators in general, because Nintendo hardware, first-party hardware, is rarely the best place to actually play Nintendo games. For example, just this weekend, Digital Foundry released a video about how the Switch 2's CPU holds back the performance of games that use Unreal Engine 5. With a nearly constant stream of new Android-powered handhelds, the timing of Eden's release seems great. But we'll just have to see how long they can dodge the wrath of Nintendo. Good luck, Eden. And I'm sorry for bringing attention to you. Nvidia is being accused of violating anti-monopoly laws by a Chinese regulatory body. These enormous corporations just cannot catch a break. China launched the investigation into Nvidia's business practices back in December 2024 over Nvidia's potential failure to comply with government provisions in its acquisition of US-Israeli chip designer Mellanox Technologies back in 2020. The specifics of Nvidia's breach of those provisions are still vague, but the timing of this whole scenario makes a lot of sense. The investigation into Nvidia started only a week after the US announced tougher export controls on certain chips and chip-making equipment going into China, and now the Chinese regulators' accusation of monopolistic behavior from Nvidia comes just as US and Chinese officials meet in Madrid for trade talks. So maybe Nvidia is as bad as China is making them out to be, or maybe this is all just part of a political game between two global superpowers. Or, you know, two things can be true at the same time. And no one knows that better than our sponsor, Ground News. They want to help you break free from toxic algorithms and actually understand just what the heck is going on out there, which is why the Nobel Peace Center recognized Ground News as an excellent way to stay informed and avoid echo chambers. But how? Well, they collect and compare tons of articles covering the same story and analyze how it's being covered across the political spectrum. Take this recent story about how the education system is being forced to adapt to AI. Right-leaning outlets represent only 7% of the coverage here, while left-leaning outlets count for 26%. Why is that the case when it seems like the left hates AI and the right loves it? That's a great question you can dive into with Ground News Bias Comparison Tool. Bias, it's like a brain. Everyone's got one, even if it doesn't seem like it sometimes. Hey, get the transparency and understanding you deserve from the news and save 40% on Ground News Vantage Plan by using our link in the description. So my other buddy Gandalf, who was a white wizard at this point, good for him, told his steed, "Shadowfax, show them the meaning of haste." But I said, "Hold your horses, friend. These quick bits will do just fine." TikTok might be sticking around in the US after all. While in Madrid for the US's trade talks with China, US Trade Secretary Scott Bessent told reporters that the two countries have reached a framework on a deal to switch TikTok from the hands of ByteDance into US-controlled ownership. Now, one key to the deal succeeding was the fact that China is interested in Chinese characteristics of the app, but the US doesn't care about Chinese characteristics. TikTok has been given until September 17th to make a deal, or they risk being banned from the US. But this date has already been pushed back before, and probably will be again. The perpetual doom scroll continues. Speaking of which, Qualcomm has announced its next flagship processor, the Snapdragon Elite 8 Gen 5. A doozy of a name that kicked off a conversation about whether Qualcomm had maybe had one too many drinks and skipped a few generations of chips. That's because Qualcomm's preceding chip was called the Snapdragon 8 Elite. No gens 2 to 4, I guess. The name caused enough confusion that Qualcomm felt the need to explain themselves in a blog post, writing, "Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 marks the 5th generation of our premium 8 series platform since we introduced our new single-digit naming." And adding, "Gen 5 isn't just a number, it's a signal that this platform leads the family forward." And why is it called Elite again? Because it is elite. Awesome, just checking, thank you. Google has had a lawsuit brought against it by Penske Media Corporation, or PMC to its friends, the publisher of Rolling Stone, Variety, Billboard, The Hollywood Reporter, and they're also an investor in Vox Media. All my aunts, uncles, and parents' favorites. PMC's complaint claims that Google's AI overviews give someone no reason to actually click on the source of the information that the AI just summarized, and that results in a loss of traffic for PMC's sites. We've talked about this before on the channel. In a statement, PMC's CEO, Jay Penske, said that PMC will proactively fight for the future of digital media and preserve its integrity, all of which is threatened by Google's current actions. And while I don't watch a lot of combat sports, I am here for intercorporate juggernaut brawls. And TSMC is buzzing about their newest announcement. Well, is that a pun? Maybe. The company, the world's largest semiconductor manufacturer, is getting into the honey business. Not the extension. Nope. As Tom's Hardware states, TSMC has worked with local beekeepers in Taiwan to produce G-Me, TSMC branded honey. Okay, the Taiwanese business isn't just getting into this venture for the honey money though. These beekeeping efforts are to show off that TSMC is environmentally responsible and their operations don't affect the natural ecosystems around their facilities, like at all. An uplifting story, but one that makes me hungry. So I'm gonna go. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to come back on Wednesday for more tech news. In the meantime, I'm going back to having one-sided conversations with my TV while I rewatch Lord of the Rings. Bye-bye now.